Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
It is possible.
You are most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only
Dramani
channel that
Mahama
brings you the best and latest updates in politics.
And
If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can equally leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277128777. Thank you. I want you to join me listening to
and then he would persevere.
Haruna Iddrisu has also come out making, and it's all about how DM is going to rule and how we should pray for him to succeed and not to fail.
And growing despondency
also give a certain number, a few or lesser number of ministers DM will be needed.
Presidential and parliamentary election
A+ for him.
is a public repudiation of the new Patriotic Party government of Nana
A+, and everybody need that to reduce costs.
And the two of them,
without much ado, I'd like you to join me listening to some tactical things he said in addition to
the
that.
most embarrassing and undignified position of the new Patriotic Party, given the outcome of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary election. Projections we did. You remember that I was at TV3 here, and I said we would have a majority of 147 to 153. That was my public projection, but we've passed that mark to 185 to 188.
Confirm to us how many you have now.
No, you need to have a public declaration by the returning officers of the various constituencies. What we do know is that President John Dramani Mahama has an overwhelming majority of parliament, indeed a 2/3 majority, which is unprecedented. Since 1993, no president have achieved that feat. And as he himself have assured the Ghanaian public, he would use that majority responsibly to respond to the aspirations and needs of the Ghanaian people. For me, the 2024 presidential election is a mark of Ghanaian anger and frustration at the ruling government. So what President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC needs to avoid is to avoid the pitfalls and the wrongs of the new Patriotic Party government of Nana Addo Dankwa. One, arrogance, impunity, listen to the public, don't take them for granted, don't take their concerns for granted. And one of the major lessons we also have learned from this is that money, sometimes when citizens are angry, money has no space in the politics. I mean, just thinking that you can compromise the electorate by sharing money or sharing government booty is not enough. So for President Mahama, this victory comes both as an opportunity and a challenge. An opportunity to seek to respond to the aspirations of the Ghanaian people. I've heard many people talk about President Mahama. He would work faithfully with his honor, with the manifesto pledges of resetting Ghana in our governance processes, using parliament responsibly and not borrowing excessively, not crashing the country debt into unsustainable level that you cannot control it, but subject Ghanaians to an unacceptable debt exchange. John Mahama presidency would not do that. John Mahama presidency will not get the Bank of Ghana to engage in quantitative easing and printing money to help government. Recall that President Mahama, even when he was president between 2015 and 2016, there was less and zero financing from the Bank of Ghana, even when he left office in 2016.
So we'll go into that.
He will keep faith with that.
Yes, we'll go into that. But this supermajority, as many are beginning to call you now, I know we've heard the former president say that he's going to use it responsibly. We've heard other NDC executives say that as well. This is your 6th time going to Parliament, am I right?
I should think so.
You went there in 2004.
People of Tamale South, this would be, if I'm able to complete this tenure, I would have done 24 years as member of parliament for the people of Tamale South. I can't thank the chiefs, the opinion leaders, and the people of Tamale South for their faith, trust, and confidence in me. They've always reposed in me. I would seek jealously to safeguard and protect what their interests
before
are.
the elections, we had Dr. Keselato forcing as the leader of the NDC group in Parliament.
Yes.
You've been in Parliament for that long. When you talk about or reiterate what the incoming president has said, how are you going to ensure that that is evident in Parliament now? Because with this 2/3, you can do a lot. How do you intend to ensure that?
I think that the country is governed by law, and President John Dramani Mahama will uphold the rule of law in all its tenets. He will seek to govern and provide opportunities for a just society. He will create prosperity for all Ghanaians, not family and friends. And regardless of what business you are doing, he should be able to secure and protect Ghanaian businesses that provide employment for Ghanaians. And he himself has promised to chair the National Export Council. We need to work at that. I've heard many of you even argue that can John Dramani Mahama do 60 ministers? He will. He will. I mean, President Mahama would not run Ghana with more than 23 ministries, from what I get from some work that has been done of a team he's tasked to work. There should be 23 ministries that he will run the affairs of state with. Out of it, there will be 19 cabinet ministers that he would appoint, consistent with Article 79 of the Constitution. Probably those cabinet ministers may have deputies. So if you add 19 plus 19, you get some 38. And even if you were in 23, then he probably, in accordance with the decentralization regime, appoint some 16 regional ministers for all the regions of Ghana. That's important because they would then represent him at that level, supported by district chief executive. But I'm sure many of these matters, he would interface it with the party and its leadership together with the Ghanaian people. And I should also thank the Ghanaian civil society. They played a role in ensuring that they also kept President Nana Addo Dankwa, Dr. Bawumia, and the MPP accountable, not just to their words and deeds, but to their actions and inactions that led Ghana to be where we are today. Unprecedented hardship, unprecedented cost of living, unprecedented unemployment. Those are the sins John Dramani Mahama presidency should respond to, and he will. And
we'll go deeper into that, but I'm still staying a little bit more in Parliament, because you have now over 100 people coming in as newcomers, and people are concerned about the attrition rate in Parliament and the quality of conversations that we're going to have. Fortunately, you are there with over 20 years of experience.
I think that the NDC as a party would want to win the 2028 presidential election. That will depend on the performance of President John Dramani Mahama and the legacy he leaves behind in his 4 years. I trust that President Mahama will undertake some major constitutional, administrative, and legal reforms of the country. He will take advantage of that comfortable parliamentary majority to do what the Ghanaian people have asked for, that a review of the 1992 Constitution to respond to the political aspirations of the Ghanaian people. I think what he would do, remember that President John Evans Mills appointed a Constitutional Review Committee. What President Mahama will do will be to put together a Constitutional Review Implementation Committee so that they will just fine-tune the recommendations of that committee and then bring it to Parliament. Those that are entrenched and non-entrenched, some he has to walk through the Council of State. That's a requirement of the Constitution for amendment of the Constitution. And those that he can walk straight to Parliament, he will do. But there's not going to be any consultation again. After all, there was a Constitutional Review Committee. So President Mahama will put together a Constitutional Review Implementation Committee. So theirs will be to find the dots and the T's of what needs to be reviewed under the Constitution, and then he can get going. That will be one of the remarkable legacies John Dramani Mahama would leave behind as President of our Republic.
Just a few days ago, you said that...
So, John Mahama presidency, it is possible.
It is possible, you're saying. Now you're taking it and bringing it to the 24-hour economy.
It's possible. There were those naysayers who said that it was not possible for John Dramani Mahama to come back. You know, my mother shared a proverb with me. When you sing funeral dirges over a sick person, when he wakes up, you lose your voice. So those category of people who said it was impossible, it is now possible.
You're saying it is possible, but a few days ago, you said that the outgoing
I couldn't campaign with it is possible. We will rule with it is possible, but we will rule with President Mahama resetting Ghana. The economy is in dire state, terrible economic conditions, but the transition should reveal and expose many of the wrongs of this administration, and then let us know the true state of the Ghanaian economy. Where are we with debt? Where are we with inflation? Where are we with commitments that have not been cleared by government? President Mahama will sanitize all that.
At least before you get to know the real situation through this transition process, we do know that inflation is over 23%, am I right?
Unacceptably high.
We also do know that unemployment is 14.7%. Debt is over 700 billion Ghana
Those
cedis.
are the sins of Nana Addo Dankwa.
And I remember you saying just a few days ago that this outgoing government had handed the incoming government a very difficult economy.
Yeah.
Yet in the midst of all of this, we've seen the promises of the incoming government.
President Mahama will naturally renegotiate the IMF extended credit facility, and probably he would work to secure an investment of up to $2 billion US. If he's able to do that, because remember, he cannot borrow that outside the concessionary loans that he'll get. Ghana may not be able to go commercial in terms of our borrowing. But the new Patriotic Party government of Nana Addo Dankwa was simply just reckless and irresponsible with borrowing, even though they campaigned that they were superior managers of the economy, better managers of the economy. I was listening to Dr. Anaba, and many of you, the media, you have to go back to memory lane. What happened in 2017 during transition, that a professional like him, respected professional, meritocracy, is important for this country if the country is to have a future. Why would anybody want to embarrass him? You haven't studied medicine. He spent his time, life, and money to study his medicine, service to the country. But just because of his political color, he had to suffer. That is not acceptable going forward. But is that not the kind of politics we do in Ghana? Yes, so adversarial politics, yes, and I think that into the future we have to discuss that. I've had cause to say in Parliament that the winner takes away principle is the bane of Ghanaians not benefiting more from what you call a democracy dividend. But what's significant is that Ghana arguably is going to go through another successful seamless transition, which will remarkably or incredibly add to Ghana's standing as a worthy democracy of a kind. Ghana's democracy will remain a better example for many African countries. We've seen transition of power from one political party to the other, from the other government to the other. But John Dramani Mahama will exert accountability. That is what the Ghanaian people expect him to do. Exert accountability. And you're talking about Nyankpala.
Before I go to Nyankpala, hold on, Ms. Iddrisu, before I go to Nyankpala, I was going to ask you about all these things that are already in place, even before you see the reality on the ground. And yet there are a lot of promises in terms of tax cuts and some quote-unquote freebies, as it were, as promises within the 120 days.
There's no freebies.
Well,
John Dramani Mahama will honor his commitment to the Ghanaian people as expressed in the manifesto of the NDC. If you would just allow me to land,
he's talking about scrapping e-levy, COVID-19, the 10% levy on bets or bet winnings. He's talking about emission levy. I know he's also looking at taxes on imported vehicles for industrial and agricultural purposes, all of these things that are coming in. And you've already admitted that this economy is difficult. How is he going to get that done?
Notwithstanding, to borrow the words of the MPP again, President Mahama is coming to do away with nuisance taxes. There are nuisance taxes. I mean, e-levy, we're told, will bring in 6.9 billion. That's not the case. It's not achieved that. And President Mahama is committed to growing the digital sector of our economy. I anticipate that President Mahama will have a minister responsible for his 24-hour economy, with some budget to get it going and to get light manufacturing sector supported and strategic industry across the country that will generate employment to address unemployment, which itself is of great concern to him as president. Now, yes, all these pledges will be honored.
One other thing that the NDC has been championing has been the Operation Recoverall. There are some people who express doubts about it. How is the NDC going to do that? I know you're targeting the National Cathedral.
I mean, look at National Cathedral. you don't keep God in a deceptive mood. You can't deceive God. So even that, you remember, at an opportunity here, we said that even Nana Addo Dankwa cannot honor his promise to God. He promised God a cathedral, and he could have done it in a much more smarter manner than using public funds. When he came to Parliament and we asked him questions about it, we were told that no public resources will be used for that purpose. He could have used the private sector. You can get corporate sector, even corporate responsibility to support that. Now, you cannot have $38 million sit down in that hole. You have Palugu factory where $12 million which can build a clinic anywhere from any rural community. So when President Mahama talks about recovery of loot, it will be a systematic process. Believe me, many public and civil servants are beginning to talk to the president and reach out to many of his officials and sharing very critical information.
Do I hear you say that as part of the constitutional review that you're going to do, perhaps
Yes.
you may want to touch the immunity that protects presidents so that the outgoing president could be held accountable for this national cathedral?
No.
For instance?
President John Dramani Mahama is not coming to pursue President Nana Addo Dankwa. No, that's not part of his aspirations. He's coming to govern Ghana. He respects the office of the president and the office of the former president, but he would exact accountability in a manner that satisfies the request of the Ghanaian electorate and in accordance with law.
In other words, he's not going to witch hunt.
No, it's not a personal issue for him, no.
It's not a personal attack, as it were. I'm not using your word.
It's not a personal issue or personal vendetta for President John Dramani Mahama. Not at all.
How would you rate
He would want to keep the unity and stability of the country, but he would exact accountability.
How would you rate the performance of the...
Public servants did not use public resources well, and public resources find itself in wrong hands. It's only appropriate and lawful that he recovers that. How will I rate what?
I was going to go to the IGP, but I want to stay a bit longer on the judiciary bit. And the concern is that...
Inspector General of Police, his performance overall or his performance before, during, and the process of the election.
I'm just asking a question.
There's law and order in Ghana. I think that we should measure that by the incidence of crime, and the incidence of recidivism is what we should look at. He's done his best. At least there's peace in the country. Crime rate is low. I'm not too satisfied with some of his performance at the election. For instance, but I'm told that the persons who were involved in the shooting in Nyankwala have been brought to Accra. They should, and they would face the full rigors of the law. I'm a candidate and an interested person. I don't walk to a polling station with a pencil or a pen in my hand.
And I know
Why would you carry a weapon or a gun into a polling station? That is not allowed. That is criminal. And then when you journalists and the media say elections are free and fair, you must have an understanding of what it means to be free. Free from fear. When you shoot at a polling station, then that election cannot be described as being free and fair. It must be free from fear. The electorate must have the confidence to go and vote the way they like. Some are scared away with gunshots. They may probably will not walk back even to the polling station. What happened in Nyankwala, and eventually it probably may have affected the outcome of the elections in Tolong generally. Nyankwala is a stronghold of the NDC. We all know that Tolong used to be our seat. And why gunshot? I'm told that the regional organizer of the MPP and some others were in some Land Cruiser which had some of those weapons. Even me, I think that my bodyguard and aide also facilitated the arrest of a vehicle which contained arms, which was meant for Myang Yendi, that road. We managed to ground that vehicle. I'm sure I'll share the videos with your team.
I don't know whether...
And you appreciate the extent to which some persons were determined to unleash fear and violence on their political opponent. That is not the way to be.
When the incident happened and you spoke to us earlier,
yes,
you said that it was coming from the MPP because the party was so hungry to... It will stop at nothing.
Power.
Exactly.
You know, I just don't talk. At the time I was talking, I knew the persons behind, and I'm still following the police to see what they do, because, you know, you are now in the digital world. There are videos, there are pictures, there are persons who are running who still were able to film. And therefore, the police must administer justice.
The Information Minister Fatima Abubakar spoke to the media some minutes ago. He said that she said there's no evidence that the violence going around the country is being done by MPP
so
supporters.
To Fatima, you are minister, be honorable. The violence in Nyankwala Tolong was MPP. I'll challenge her today and challenge her.
That the NDC
I'll challenge her for the rest of her life.
You take over power.
I say I'll challenge her for the rest of her life to accept one truth. We know those who have been arrested, and we know their political background. And I'm saying that we even grounded another vehicle. We found arms in that vehicle. Believe me, I should thank TV3 and Cookie. It was not for nothing that I told Cookie that I would only speak at 2 p.m. because between 12:30 and 1:30, I was gathering my evidence. And therefore, if I didn't have concrete things to speak on, I certainly would not have spoken on that matter. That's why I said that primarily I was not at Tolong. But arguably, overall in Northern Region, John Dramani Mahama have done very well. The Upper East and Upper West region have always stood very strong to the NDC. This year, Northern Region came up to support them. Northeast was competitive, naturally because Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia hails from that. But we managed to pull some surprises in Yonyo and Cherpune and then Bunkrugu, because some work was done. I mean, we lost Nalergo to Ego, and the NDC's own competitiveness between Nalergo versus Gambaga kind of politics. So, it's not because President Mahama or the NDC was not popular.
So you're calling out the Information Minister on what happened in Nyankpala. What about the people who besieged the office of Ghana Gas?
As for Nyankpala and Tolong Fatima, you are honorable. You cannot. And don't let the power of state or government. We've been there before. I've been Minister for Communication. You see, we are to serve this people of Ghana fidelity to the law and fidelity to sincerity. Elsewhere, she can say what she's saying. But for Tolong and Nyankpala... She
didn't mention Tolong and Nyankpala so specifically. She just said
and I say
that the information that the MPP is behind the violence may not necessarily be true, because there's no evidence to prove that it is
But
MPP
in the past, we saw their violence in Techima. So what is he talking about? They've had a history. We note what happened in 2020 when lives were lost. This time, President Mahama have pledged to investigate the loss of life. I mean, we shouldn't go through an election and at every count you are losing life because people must exercise the right to vote. That's not good for the future of our democracy. But I think that Ghana's democracy is stronger and better with the MPP losing. And I think that President Mahama will not disappoint the Ghanaian electorate. He will do his utmost best to honor the pledges in the manifesto within the constraints of the economy. He would. But I think that he will turn the fortunes of the country around and build the Ghana that we want. I was asking you about those who besieged the Ghana Gas, who are alleged to have been NDC all those are criminal conduct. But you see, some of it, I'm encouraging the media that probe it further. In Tamale, even before the NDC joined the MPP to undertake those criminal looting, I don't support it. The police must deal decisively with any person involved. It was the MPP supporters who were running after their own candidates, who took products in the name of this election, motorbikes, roofing sheets, and failed to share it. So it is the MPP people who showed the NDC people that our candidate here has motorbikes sitting here, which was meant for the campaign.
So
he didn't share it.
So how to investigate that?
I say, let the media be interested in it. But in Tamale, it was not just the NDC, but whatever it is, whether NDC or MPP, we should condemn those acts and allow the police to deal ruthlessly with it. I've had opportunity to make a phone call on radio, calling on the people and the youth in Tamale to take it calm and easy. Let's see and witness a seamless transition of power, and pray and support President John Dramani Mahama to succeed. And for them is to wait to have their opportunity as to what government will do for them. but not to engage in any criminal conduct or act.
The earlier comments you made about the Nyankpala one, you suggested that fortunately the media was able to capture a lot of the things on record.
In fact, TV3 which got the IGP to act.
Yes.
And because I was high profile, they just couldn't sweep that under the carpet. So we should thank you for that.
It suggested to me that you may not be completely impressed with the performance of the IGP. Is he going to be maintained?
I have not come here to pass judgment on the Inspector General of Police.
Do you know whether he'll be maintained?
That's not why I'm here. I'm not the President of the Republic. John Dramani Mahama will certainly, I don't want to put words even into his mouth, but every president has some, he will pump some energy or overhaul within the advice that is available to him. As I said, the unity, stability of the country is important to President Mahama, and he will seek to work to safeguard that. But as to what he does, let's wait. I mean, the most important thing now is when Parliament comes back, Parliament must, as matter of urgency, look at appropriation, no, expenditure in lieu of appropriation. We have to get a country running, and Parliament, regardless of what the differences may be as to who is majority or minority.
But it's clear now, isn't it?
Natural factors have resolved that. So maybe we should have more peace and ease looking into the future. But Parliament has to get, you can't have a budget until there is a policy program of President Mahama. That will take some time, January, February, March, when he constitutes his government. But we have to pass what we call the expenditure in lieu of appropriation, pursuant to Article 179 of the Constitution, allows some expenditure that are urgent to be accommodated within it. I'm sure probably that may be one of the factors motivating Speaker Bagbin. And I've seen TV3 even do a short list of Haruna Iddrisu to be Speaker. I'm not interested in becoming Speaker of Parliament.
So which ministerial appointment are you gunning for?
I don't know. I'll serve the President in any capacity he deems fit. But as I said, even in the 8th Parliament, I saw the Honorable Okudjato Black, Honorable Ayarga, Atuforsen, Honorable Amabua, and a group. They were urging me to run for Speaker. I disappointed them that I was not interested in being Speaker of Parliament.
Speaker is number 3 in our Constitution. But perhaps others have also suggested you want presidency.
I'm happy in my role as Member of Parliament for Tamale South. I've always said that I don't know tomorrow, and therefore...
You don't want the presidency?
My eye is on the ball, but I don't know about tomorrow.
So it's likely we may see you run for president?
It's also likely I may not live to see tomorrow. What about that?
But you haven't answered the question, actually.
And I say I may not live to see tomorrow, so leave that to leave that to fate.
So
and
I should take that as a no.
God.
That you're not looking forward to it.
I say leave that to fate. My eye is on the ball.
Your eye? Which ball?
I say my eye is on the ball.
Which ball?
My eye is on the ball. If you are watching a football match, watch how the football is
There are a lot
played.
of balls. So which of them?
I say my eye is on the ball. But I'm not sure that I'll live to see tomorrow, so I'm not worried about tomorrow.
You're not worried about tomorrow?
I have today, yeah.
You haven't answered the question, but I
say I have today.
I will move on.
So pray for President Mahama's success on his behalf. I should thank the Ghanaian people for the utmost faith and confidence they've reposed in him. He would not let the Ghanaian people down. And probably I'd like to continue listening to your other panelists.
Yes, but I will wrap up very shortly. I was going to go to the judiciary and the fact that the NDC has bastardized the judiciary. We've heard even the incoming president say that the outgoing president has packed the Supreme Court and the judiciary with MPP pro people, even the Electoral Commission prior to this year's general election. Are we going to see changes? Because I know that the Constitution also empowers
the Constitution
the
says that the judiciary shall not be subject to the control of any person or institution. President Mahama will respect that, but he would expect the justice system to be just and do justice to all Ghanaians. That he has work to do. I
want you to react to what the Information Minister said about the recruitment issue that Felix Kwashiorkor talked about.
I don't have the details about it. What I do know that some acts of government are lawful up to 7th midnight of 6th January 2025. Some actions of Nana Addo Dankwa are lawful. within the premise of the 1992 Constitution. He's still the president of our republic, albeit a lame duck president, an outgoing president. He must prepare his handing over notes together with the handing over notes of his ministers. He has an opportunity to decide whether he wants to address Parliament for the last time, and then he would bid us farewell, as Ghanaians have bid him farewell. But essentially, Nana Addo Dankwa haven't done well. His party has poorly performed, reflecting the poor outcome of his policies and governance, arrogance and impunity. So I've said that President Mahama must declare zero tolerance for all the wrongs of the MPP. He can't afford to repeat any of the mistakes of the MPP. Ghanaians will not forgive him and forgive us if he did that.
Is Jean Mensa staying?
Jean Mensa, chairperson of Electoral Commission, you see, so she now knows that she doesn't declare elections. The electorate, with their thumb, they decide, and you announce. That's what is happening to Jean Mensa. Whatever thought she has in her head, God answered the prayers of Ghana, and God answered John Mahama's prayers. So Jean Mensa, you remember, when we were fighting here, then I was minority leader, when she wanted to deny over 500,000 Ghanaians, 500,000 votes in the name of national ID card. So national ID card now go around the country and complete it, so that into next election, we now can say that national ID card is the basis. But when you haven't completed it, people don't have national ID card, then you say you won't accept the other process. It's a public good, national ID card. We need it. But make sure, in fact, and I shared this with you, I traveled to La Barga, the last village in my constituency on the Yendi Road, and Togo on the Yendi Road. My electorate woman walked out. I'll share the video with you and said, Honorable Aduna, ID card ma tekale. We don't have the national ID card. And that when they came here, they didn't give them the opportunity. So national ID card, a public good. We want it for every deserving Ghanaian. But when you don't make it available, you cannot make that the sole basis. So Jean Mensa, Electoral Commission, you are only relevant when political parties are relevant. And you are only relevant when democracy is relevant. But at least she's done well. This time she had no hesitation because the results was now known. I should thank Dr. Omani Buama, the eagle eye. At least he had learned his lessons of what probably happened to him and the NDC in 2016 and 2020. And he sought to improve it. And you've seen Doctor now, Office of the Vice President. I don't know if he wants to remain there. Doctor sitting with Alif, sitting with Dr. Anaba. So at least John Mahama have helped you make history. So you now can have aspiration because Professor Jane Nana is Vice President of the Republic. Who knows? She probably may be the first female president of our republic. It is possible.
Is she saying? I mean, I'm asking that question because 2 days ago we had Joyce Bar Mokhtari saying that Jean Mensa perhaps should resign 2 days. I mean, should resign before.
That who should resign?
Jean Mensa should resign. Should she stay? Are you going to keep her?
Over what? Charlotte Asai was chairperson of the Electoral Commission. Mm-hmm. They had issues with her because of something. Yes. Procurement. If Jean Mensa too has procurement issues, that may define her future. I don't know.
So you think she should go?
No. Why would you change an Electoral Commission chairperson? These are not matters that is of primary concern to President Mahama. I'm begging you, know where Jean Mensa is. Jean Mensa doesn't determine who rules Ghana. Ghanaians determine who rules them. And they have spoken eloquently that they desire change. President Mahama must reflect that change in order that he does not disappoint them. He has to address unemployment. He has to address the growing cost of living. He has to address the growing cost of business. Many businesses in Ghana are packing out. So when you are analyzing the taxes President Mahama is going to review, you are looking at it in terms of revenue. No, to the extent that a review of those taxes give live support to businesses is the right thing to do, and he will do it. So don't look at it in terms of he bringing taxes down. Does that help Ghanaian businesses? Does that help Ghanaian enterprise? If it does, he should not hesitate to proceed with it. E-levy, nuisance, COVID, nuisance. He will do away with them. But he must wait. We have to swear in the members of parliament. We elect a speaker, elect 2 deputy speakers. President Mahama announces his cabinet. Parliament has to constitute the appointment committee to look at it, examine it, make a report. So the country will run. That's why for me, Parliament coming next week, the most important thing is to look at the expenditure in lieu of appropriation. And then, you know what President Mahama's fortune may be, the Heritage Fund into next year. You know, in all this struggle, Ghana has some Heritage Fund. I spoke to Honorable Setekpe last 2 nights, yesterday I think. I was trying to know the value of it. And then for me, legacy projects. If there is a heritage fund, for me and the people of Tamale, we want Tamale water done. So for John Mahama, if he wants Tamale as good as it was for him in 2024, 2028, he must walk back with me saying that he has fixed the Tamale water crisis, which affects Damongu. Cherpone has a similar crisis. And believe me, those of us around him must help him succeed.
So
for instance, no, there are some things he must do. Saboba Cherpone, Yendi Cherpone Road, Bungpurgu Nakwandure Road. I won't sit, and those roads will not be fixed within the next 24 months. Whoever goes there, we will remind him that some road, including even Solawa, is in such a bad state. And then when you turn from Sisala, from Clement going, so some roads, and then I said Cherpune, there's a bar road I pass, and then the OT area, Pasa area. All this, President Mahama will do. But let me give you one assurance. Every good project started by this government, consistent with the directive principle of state policy, President Mahama will execute and complete all those projects, subject to value for money and an appreciation of what went into the initiation of those projects, whether it was a hospital, it was a school block, or whatever.
Including National Cathedral.
Completion of National Cathedral, but not with state funds. President Mahama is smarter than that. If this country needs a cathedral, he will, together with the church, sit down and decide what to do with it, but not with state resources, not with public resources, and not the waste we are seeing over there. And when we say exacting accountability, how can $38 million and you are swimming in it? What have you seen? Is that worth $38 million?
You're a former trade minister. Ahead of the elections, and that's my last but one question to you. We heard Guta and AGI and some other businesses crying out to the government to deal with the cedi depreciation. I know it was one of the issues. It's not the same as when the former president, now incoming president, it's not the same as when he was in power at the time. He's coming back to meet a dollar cedi rate. Now it's 14 point something. What would you tell them, these people?
President Mahama, to borrow the words of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Akufo-Addo, he will seek to arrest the depreciation of the cedi through policy, not knee-jerk reactions or response to it.
Do you have an
How we process gold will affect that, the foreign reserves. How we export gold will affect that. The export council he will chair will affect that. We need to rake in at least some $2 billion, which he would do by stimulating some strategic investment into the country. So once again, let me commend TV3, commend your, and all of you. I think that you've done a yeoman's job. Everybody in Ghana is glued to TV3 because of your election brief and what you did to keep Ghanaians abreast with the outcome of the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. I want to express gratitude to you and express gratitude to every Ghanaian, to all Ghanaians, for the faith reposed in President Mahama and the NDC. And I trust that we'll work with him to live the expectations of the Ghanaian people.
Your final words, especially for the over 1.6 million extra people who voted for the NDC.
The NDC, President Mahama, would not disappoint you. Have faith in him, pray for his success, and let's work together to build the Ghana.
If you could kindly speak through that camera for us so they know you're talking directly to them.
I wouldn't know that I'm speaking to a camera. Me, I know that I don't know that I'm speaking to a camera. What I know is that I'm responding to questions. So yes. That's what I know.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We want to thank the Ghanaian people for their confidence reposed in President Mahama and the NDC. We would work to justify that faith and confidence, and he would work to build the Ghana you want. He would work to create opportunity for the prosperity of every Ghanaian. He would protect and preserve every Ghanaian business.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Honorable
you
Haruna Iddrisu, for
my
joining
pleasure,
us.
my pleasure.
And congratulations.
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciates your time. Please, if you are new here and you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.